Hi everybody. I want to explain to you how to use the modules that I've been talking about. And first, I have to show you where to find them. So if you have never been to our school's website, you should start there. This is the district website, and under district schools, Sam's is second to last. And it looks very similar, so sometimes you don't realize you've switched, except at the top it does say Skowhegan Area Middle School. From there, if you scroll down to these common links, Sam's art program is number 3, and that is where you're going. It's the Art with Mrs. Kiger website, and every week I'll have a little video on here kind of explaining what we're doing that week, but what you'll need to look for to find your modules is at the top. Hover over 8th grade modules if you're in 8th grade, and right now there's only one because we are all starting together with one module. Later this list will be very long, but for now we're gonna all do still lifes together. When you click on the module, it gives you a couple options. You will have your learning guide. Every single module will have a learning guide. There'll be the My Story template, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then the rubric, which kind of explains how you're going to get graded and what I'm looking for in each thing. So once you get to the point where you're choosing a module, some of you might want to just look at the rubric first and see if that's what you want to be assessed on, or you might want to just peek at the learning guide and see if it looks like something you're interested in. So I'm going to click on Learning Guide. This will really be like your go-to document. It'll bring you to a Google Doc. This is the theme of this module, that artists use observation. Observation is one of the studio habits of mind, and so it's one of those things that art can help you do in all areas of your life, and the project is a still life. There is a section to do before you begin. You're going to make a copy of the story template. Same template that was on the Still Life homepage. So you can either access it by clicking here or on your learning guide by clicking here. This will give you a template. You're going to have to make a copy. So to do that, you go to File, Make a Copy, and choose the entire presentation. And once you do that, you can change the font, you can change the background color, you can fancy it up however you want, but it will tell you where to put the things that you need. For instance, your name. Put your name here so that when I look through these, I know whose story I'm looking at. After that, your story has a place for you to put each piece that you do from the learning guide. So the pre-assessment, this is what you do before you learn stuff, so I know where your starting place is. It's the same as right here. So you'll go down the learning guide and do each piece, and every piece will have a spot on that story for you to kind of post a picture or write a couple of sentences, depending on what you're doing. Then the next part is that beginning of the creative process that we talked about. We're going to go through the creative process lots and lots of times. The first step is inspiration. I will give you a little video and then something to do. Okay. For this one, there's actually another slideshow that it will take you to look at, or a website. So sometimes there's a link. Sometimes the do is to go look at more things. And then when you're doing your design, watch the video, and then it's about drawing. So these ones say, add the photo to your story. That's the story we were just looking at. You'll go down through each step, adding to your story, so that I can get there, so that I have a documentation of every piece that you're doing. There's a spot for each photo. Now, these are very boring templates. I will make them that way so that you can judge them up however makes sense for you. And then once you get towards the bottom there'll be a spot for reflection in the learning guide. There is a section for reflection, and you'll get some choices. It also will bring you to the rubric. When you are reflecting, it's important for you to think about what your expectations were so that you think back, did I meet those expectations or did I not? Also attached to that rubric will be resources so that if you are looking at what your expectations are and there's something you're stuck on, for instance, this one, there's some shading involved. And if you are struggling with shading, you'll go to that rubric, and at the bottom will be resources to improve your shading. There'll be other resources for other things that are common pitfalls, and that way, if you are self-assessing yourself and realizing that there's an area that you'd like to improve in, you can look at those resources and improve. Very self-directed. I'm not going to be telling you every step of what you need to improve, because you may think you need to improve something that is different than what I would improve if it were my artwork. But I'll put those resources on there. Also, if you ask questions, and if I have like 10 students asking how to get better on the same thing, I will add more resources to that as we go, so that I'll answer those 10 students' questions, but then there might be 10 more who were not sure or didn't want to ask. So if you don't see a resource on there at first, ask and I will put some more. So there's the reflection. You will have a couple options for reflections. Let's go here. And you'll choose. So still life reflections, you're going to pick one. There's 3 different choices. And you're going to go back to File, Make a Copy, and only copy the slide that you pick. It'll copy that slide, and then you'll be able to go back to your story, and you'll paste that slide right there. You can also do the Command V thing if you have put your selection in between slides. If you select a slide and paste, it will delete the slide that you selected and replace it. So be a little careful there. There's always the undo button if you need to. And then let's go back to that learning guide. When you're done, you are going to conference with me. Sounds very fancy. It means have a conversation. So if I'm in class with you, you'll just raise your hand and I'll come over and we'll talk about it for a minute. We might discuss that you need to go back in there and do some more work. We might come to the conclusion that you really like that project and you'd actually like to do the module again and improve that much more. We also might decide that you're done and you just need to take a really good photo of your artwork and add it to your digital portfolio. Okay. If you are not in class, we'll Zoom, okay, or do like a chatty, texty conference. It just means conversation, so it doesn't have to be like super formal. This link does lead you to kind of like a schedule if you want to schedule one so that you are sure to get FaceTime or talk time with me. If you like want to make sure that you get to Zoom during my remote office hours, you can kind of claim some of that time. I'm not going to click on it now because it doesn't have a schedule in there of open slots yet. So that is your module. This learning guide is kind of your home base for each module, and then the story is where you document all your work by writing or posting pictures, and the rubric is how you know what I'm looking for. So we'll take a quick peek at that. It's different for every project. It starts with the standards. This is the standard as written like in our district curriculum, and this is how it actually fits. This is called a 1-point rubric. Most people will land on a 3. If you do super above and beyond, you get a 4. If it's a little lackluster and you don't quite nail it, it's a 2. So I don't have to write those all the way out because you guys are smart and you know what it kind of looks like to do extra or to do not as much. Most of you, though, will be looking at this part. This is where you get the actual for real grade, outlines what you're going to do with the creative process out of 35 points. Your learning story, doing all the things, is worth 35 points. And then specific to each project, there's a couple things to check off, and that's worth 30 points. And this, the creative process and learning story part, it's basically the same for every project because those things are always done. It's this last bit that sometimes is a little different. And right now, your resources are empty because nobody can improve artwork they haven't started, but this will start filling in this week. So that is a module. That is where you find them. That is how you do them. And if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of expect that you move through them. You have to do 2 modules at least for the semester. So one of them will be the still life, and then one will be your choice. Lots of you will do a third one, and that can only improve your grade, just so you know. If you do a third one and it's not as good, it's just not your best work compared to the other modules you do, I kind of drop the lowest one. So also if you aren't loving your grade, you either redo a module or do a new one, and we'll just kick that lowest one right out. So again, if you have questions, you got to ask. I'm not a mind reader. I won't know. Okay, let's go.